Hello again, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Westclox Charmer series.
Talk tick, talk tick, talk tick.
Well, now it's almost 12 o'clock and I'm here in a stew. Should I stay or go back home? I don't know what to do. One thing that I know for sure, that girl and I are through. Still hearing tick-tock, tick, tick-tock, tick-tock, tick, tick-tock, tick-tock, tick, tick-tock, tick.
Talk tick, talk tick, talk tick.
In this episode, we are going to actually clean the movement here. And I know I've showed this in previous series? I don't know. I've shown this before, and it's fairly straightforward. Let's see if we can get this out of here. I left this together from part 2. Let's see, what is blocking me here? Is it this or is it this? I'm not sure. I think it's this. It's the center arbor. Come on. Because this seems to be moving fairly free in here. What the heck? Oh, shoot. Okay, that's fairly thin brass there, so I just kind of bent that up by accident just a little bit, but we can always just, bend it back. Why is this stuck on here? Maybe we should pull by the knob. I'm not pulling here, because you can deform this, and I don't want to screw this whole thing up. I mean, sure, it'd be a relatively easy fix, but, you don't want to go down that street. Is this, like, grounding? What the heck's the matter with this thing? Okay, I don't know. I don't know what was going on there. And this here, well, we can just straighten that out. There we go. That should be straight again. So anyway, after that almost traumatic experience there, we are going to first pop open our spring barrels, which I completely forgot to do in our last part. So I'm wearing my gloves here. I mean, I've done this barehanded before, but, I don't want to take that risk. Just unhook this wheel, turn it backwards. This is just hooked on. And you can either go in there with a screwdriver. I mean, these are fairly small springs here, too. So just get it out, coil by coil. There we are. There's a good start. And just slowly coil it out. Eye protection is recommended for bigger springs and whatnot. As you can see, this would be more threatening on a larger scale, but clearly, oh, see, yeah. Yeah, I thought it was out, but it wasn't. And it just unhooks from, where does it unhook? Oh, here. There's the cut part in the plate there that the spring hooks up onto here. There's the notch in the spring. So yeah, these can be kind of tricky and somewhat dangerous if you're not being careful with them. So that's just a word of caution here. Don't mess around with these things. Oh, look at that. Is that blued steel? This is the alarm side. What the heck? Where's the other wheel? Just threw it down. Yeah, this is actually just brass. I don't know what this is. It might be blued steel. Blued? No? Okay, there it goes. Yeah, you can kind of pull it up and turn it backwards to get that going. And let's just get this out coil by coil because I don't want to have it explode in my hands again. As much as I enjoy that. Come on, out you come. Oh yeah. And there we are. Let me just turn it backwards. Oh, kind of wasn't quite done there. Turn it backwards and unhook it, and there we have it. And there's our movement fully disassembled. So really, when you look at it this way, it's actually not that many parts. There's not that much going on with this clock. And that's really convenient for anyone who manages to get one of these apart because there's not as much to do. And that's a win-win if you ask me. So as for the actual cleaning, I like to take everything that actually needs cleaning, not the rubber grommets or some things, because really you don't need to clean all that stuff. The screws and the knobs and whatnot, unless they actually are dirty, which they're not. Then I put all the gears and stuff in this red container full of simple green mixed with water. This container then bobs up on top of the ultrasonic cleaner while it runs for 30 minutes. Then when that's done, this gets brought over here. All the parts get put in this bin here, and obviously there's simple green leaking everywhere, and that's what, you know, it's nice to have this red bin to contain everything. Then I rinse everything off with isopropyl alcohol. Since this is mixed with water, things will rust if you don't mix it with alcohol or rinse it in alcohol. Here's a Big Ben loud alarm. I believe it's a third wheel or so. This wheel had its wires all screwed up and whatnot. You know, all the pivot wire and the lantern thing was all messed up. So I figured just for fun, you know, I'd throw this in there and see if it would rust after. I mean, it came out looking like this. I don't think this is great. So it's better to rinse everything off in alcohol after. Yeah, that didn't look like that before. Anyway, that was just, you know, an experiment. How much alcohol have we got? Oh yeah, we've got enough. It turns green because, you know, you're taking it straight out of the simple green and throwing it in there. And I also forgot to mention, in between rinsing it off with alcohol for the final time, I like to scrub everything down with a toothbrush. Or a brass wire brush, depending on how dirty it is. Especially those two springs there. Those usually need a scrubbing after, and usually the top and bottom plate do as well. And just so the balance wheel and hairspring doesn't get totally lost in the cleaning solution, I've got it hooked around the center arbor of the bottom plate. And like this, it'll be easy to find, and I won't ram my pliers through it and totally ruin it. Okay, viewers, well, we're back from our cleaning process, and I've just finished pegging the pivot holes, not the pig holes. And for those of you who have no idea what that means, you stick a toothpick or some other wooden, I don't know, you could use a small wooden dowel or whatever the heck, I don't know. Pin pallet 20, I can't remember what the heck he was using. He wasn't using toothpicks though. And you basically go in the pivot holes, turn it around, and you pull out dirt. And you do that until every pivot hole doesn't give you dirt anymore. Yeah, cleaning solutions, you know, they'll do most of the work, but stuff like this is just stuck in there. So it's always good to go do that as well at the end. So anyway, with the pivot holes all cleaned out, we can now start reassembling our clock here. So first off, we've got our pallet fork, and you go, wait a minute, Greg, how do I know which way this goes? Does it face this way, or does it face this way? Because it fits in here both ways. How does it go? Well, if we look at our balance wheel, you can see the impulse pin sticking up on the right side of the screen there. There it is. And let's just grab our pallet fork. Does it fit in this way? No, it doesn't. You got this tail in the way here. That's once again totally out of focus. It goes in like that. It keys in like that. So from that we can conclude that our pallet fork sits up like this. Now we're going to get back to our pallet fork here in a minute, but I just got to point something out to you first. Here's where the pallet fork goes in that pivot hole there. Escape wheel goes there. First wheel goes here. Second wheel goes over there. And here's our center wheel. And that's basically the time train. Well, our first and second wheel are kind of finicky to get in. Okay, here's the first wheel. We'll just pop it in here. Now, let's see if we can actually get it in. See where the pivot wire is? You gotta get it in that hole. Gotta make sure this is standing up straight. Gotta make sure those teeth align. Oops, can we get it in? I'm trying to get this thing up a little bit. I'm trying to get that center wheel up just so it lets it in. Come on. These wheels can be somewhat of a nuisance sometimes. Okay, here we go. So you can see the pivot wires in there. Our wheel is in. It's keying in with the gear teeth. That's great. Now we get our second wheel. Or the first wheel. Which way does this go again? I always have this problem where I don't know which one's the first wheel and which one's the second wheel because I don't know what order. I guess this would be this is the first wheel and this is the second wheel. Brutal. Okay, so we put this on here. There we go. And put our escape wheel on. Let's just see here. Can we get this in and not have problems? Might be too much to ask. Get our escape wheel in there. Come on. Okay. There we go, that's keyed into there. And we get our pallet fork on. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, there's the gear train there for you. And also the last thing to go on in this particular step here is this alarm escape wheel. So we just pop that back into place there. There's a pivot hole right there for it. Wow. Gotta love it when you just destroy everything, eh? Okay, so now we're almost ready to put our plates back together. So I'm gonna get all our nuts out. These nuts here. Okay, so let's put the plates together. So we've got, well, we'll just go in like that. Just gently go in there. And I see our pole here, or the arbor here with the knob on it, is causing us grief. Oh no, maybe not. Disregard. Okay, so now, and I know I've just flopped it on there. Is this actually in? Yeah, it looks like it. Now that I've flopped this, you know, just quickly thrown it on there, we can actually start putting pillar nuts on, as crazy as that sounds. Maybe it's a little premature for that. I don't know. Actually, scratch that. We're going to try and get some of these pivots into their holes here. Okay, well, I gotta admit, I mostly did that off camera. And I can also unveil to you my newest creation, wherever the heck it is. I call it the Gregola S7 wrench. Well, this was formerly a Craftsman 3/16 wrench here, but we ended up modifying it with a Dremel and also a hand file to tighten these specific, and this is why it's called S7, okay? Because it's for the style 7 pillar nuts. If I can actually get this thing on here. There we go. Yeah, it just perfectly fits them. So, it's made especially for them. And I think the style 8s have these as well, so. Yeah, just a bit of modification. And as I said, some of the best tools are the ones you can make yourself. Whoops. There we go. You don't want to over tighten those. No, those don't need to be crazy tight. So long story short is, this is no more scratched plates for me. We're going to get these off the proper way. Anyway, let's get our alarm trip spring back on here. Whoops, as I throw it across the room. Just sits in there. And then we can stick our alarm on and off switch here in. Whoops. Stick that in here. Okay. And this is an interesting one. I've never seen one quite like this before, where, you know, it's just mostly relying on notches and things like that. It's not necessarily, and you can see kind of where I'm trying to get this thing. Whoops. It's mostly relying on notches and things of that sort to actually stay in there. It's not pressed on or something. Whoops. Come on. I gotta rock this backwards or something here. Okay, let's see here. Let's try and do it like this. We'll get it in like this. Put the hole here. And away we go. There we go. I think we're all set. And this won't come off or anything like that. Wow. So the main idea is to have this spring in that big long notch there. And if it moves up and down, you know, like how it's doing, it's kind of loose, that's no big deal. And as you can see, this is how this is in here. Okay, so yes, this is meant to be bent like that. All right. Don't do any corrective bending to this unless yours is screwed up. This is meant to be like this. So I'm just gonna leave all that alone and keep going. Things are about to get really exciting. Here is our alarm tripping wheel here. And here's the wheel that goes over top of it. So we'll just pop that on. And we might have to, yeah, we might have to press this one on. All right, this is why I said things are getting exciting here. You're about to see what I mean in a minute. One of the best things I've done in the last few months was put a piece of scrap aluminum on my sawhorse. I've got it zip tied on here. Yeah, I'm gonna clean that up later. I've got a piece of scrap aluminum zip tied to my sawhorse, you know, through the hole here, and I've got a piece of scrap steel on this side. Basically what I've done is I've converted this thing into a vise of sorts, and for normal sawhorse purposes, you know, you can have it over there, it's still wood, and over here there's metal. So I'm kind of surprised that's not a thing commercially. You know, you'd think that something like this would exist, but maybe it does, I don't know. The main reason I even built this little, well, I mean, you can hardly call this built, but made this little machine here the way it is because of clocks from starting from the 1940s through to the 1960s, where pressed on knobs and wheels became more of a thing, and to get the clock to work right when you're reassembling it, you gotta press them on again. So obviously Westclox must have had some sort of pressing device. I don't know what they would have used, but for this alarm setting mechanism, this wheel here, it just can't be slapped on, it has to be pressed on. So what we're going to do is put it in the sawhorse, and I'm just gonna, reverse this here. And I'm gonna try and clear all these other knobs here. With this here as well, you don't wanna press in things that don't need pressing because you might screw them up and bend them out of shape. So I'm trying my best to clear all these other knobs. The only thing that isn't cleared is this, the balance wheel cup, the balance cup on that side isn't quite clear, but I think we can make it work without that, so I'm pretty sure, unless we can get it. No, doesn't look like we'll be able to clear that. All right, well, let's just actually get it all in one shot, shall we? Okay, so with this, you kind of have to think ahead. It doesn't. I mean, it's not complicated, but you kind of have to watch yourself, because when you're pressing things in, you know, you better be careful what you're pressing. You don't want to be pressing the balance cup or something like that in and then deform it. You only want to get the things that actually need pressing on, if that makes any sense. So the time setting knob and the alarm finger wheel needs pressing on. So I've got it so the time setting knob is over here, so it's up against the steel. And the reason I've chosen aluminum over here on this side is so, you know, just in case any arbors or whatever press up against this, they don't mushroom out or get damaged in some way. So yeah, aluminum's a nice soft metal for it to go into, and it'll still get the job done. And also our finger wheel is up against this aluminum here as well. So I'm just gonna go nice and slow. Oh, maybe I can't. You have to adjust this a little bit. Yeah, it's not gonna go. Our time setting knob's having a bit of an issue here. Oh, come on. Yeah, you gotta be careful with these things sometimes. I might have to press that on all by itself, just because of the way this is looking right now. Well, I guess I could do that. All right, I've just pressed it on. Okay, I've just angled this piece of steel up, and I've just got the rest of it getting pushed into the aluminum, and I did press the knob on. So sometimes this thing can be a little finicky to work with, but I think we got it. Yeah, we did. Okay, very good. We pressed it on. Now for the alarm finger wheel here. So I'm just gonna stick it in. I might just stick it in here, or maybe I'll stick it this way. We'll see here. I'm trying it like this. Okay, I'm going to try it this way. We're gonna see what results we get with the finger wheel being pushed on this way. Whoops. Okay, let's see here. I don't think that went on straight. I'm gonna give this one more attempt here. Okay, I've got my alarm finger wheel up against the aluminum. We've got our alarm knob up against the steel, and we're just gonna press it on like that. And don't go too hard. Do a little bit at a time, viewers. Don't go too crazy with it. I see we've gotten it on. See that? The spring goes down when the alarm isn't tripped, and pop. When it trips, spring goes up, and the alarm goes off. I know this thing is fairly crude, and yeah, it could, you know, there's some stuff to be desired with this, but it works. And as you can see, this is fully on here. And by the way, the alarm actually wasn't set before. And just as a better example of what I'm talking about, I completely forgot to pull this out. Now the alarm's on. See that? Click, alarm goes off, alarm isn't on. Click, alarm starts. As you can see, this machine has some things to be desired, but if you watch where you're going with it, like if you watch what's being pushed in and what isn't, and you know, and don't damage anything, because we got our aluminum side here and our steel side, this works really well. I mean, I haven't had any problems with it, and I mean, you're gonna see this thing in other videos because there's other clocks, especially the Westclox style 66 movement, with its pressed on knobs and pressed on alarm mechanism. This thing was built for that specific movement, but it turns out we can use it on other movements here as well, and other tasks entirely, because I had my little custom wrench mounted in this thing while I was using the Dremel on it. So anyway, yeah, there's some stuff to be desired here, but it works great for what I'm doing. So anyways, guys, I hope you got something out of this. I know I definitely did. I got a movement with good alarm tension and a time knob that is pressed on, so that's great. And by the way, once they're pressed on, you take them off in the exact same way that I showed you here in the video. I mean, it's not like they're on differently somehow. They're on there the way they're supposed to be on there. Anyway, guys, I thank you for stopping by and watching this episode of the Westclox Charmer series. And yeah, I hope you see me to the very end of it. I know probably another part or two, and the series will be completed if all goes to plan.